Hi folks, I'm Richard Friedman and welcome to my political cartoon countdown for February 2nd, 2021. Well, we're getting into 2021 already, 1 month, 11 months to go. Every week I do the countdown of the top, it's basically political cartoons and the top political cartoons of the week. And basically, we do the countdown from top 6, working our way down to the number 1 cartoon based upon reactions on Twitter. So I hope you enjoy these cartoons, and if you like them, you can. I have going on 4 books now of political cartoons through the Donald J. Trump presidency through 2021, which will be coming out pretty soon. And you can go to my website, which is richardsbooksofpoliticalcartoons.com. That's Richards with no apostrophe S, just Richards, no spaces, and richardsbooksofpoliticalcartoons.com. And so let's get started on the countdown. And here we go. Basically, this is one I just recently completed, so it hasn't really been tabulated yet. So I figured, since it's the most recent, I'd put that up front. Okay, here we have, this is GOP Congresswoman Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene depicted theory that the California wildfires were started by a Jewish space laser, theorizing that an investment firm she believed to be controlled by Jewish people in a clean energy experiment beamed the sun's energy back to Earth, causing the wildfires in California. That's what she stated. So, reportedly stated. So, here's the cartoon I did to exemplify that, to portray that reality. Here you have the sun. This is the sun beaming down. Okay, the laser here, initiating the spark of fire that led to the whole fire, like this. Okay, that's her theory, depicted in a drawing that I just did. Okay. Here comes the laser coming from the sun into the house, igniting a fire, and everything's ablaze here. The California wildfires. All right, now let's get started on the countdown. Okay, here we have Senator Lindsey Graham. Let's take here he is. Yeah. Senator Lindsey Graham on sodium pentothal truth serum. In other words, he got, in addition to his vaccines, he got a truth serum shot along with one of his vaccines. That's hypothetical about that. Given Graham was heckled at the airport by Trump supporters who called him a traitor following his break-in with then-President Donald Trump and affirming that Joe Biden is the legitimate, quote, legitimate president of the United States. Going on to say he and now former President Trump had a hell of a journey, meaning after the January 6th event at the Capitol, the rioting and everything that went on over there, Lindsey had enough for a little bit of a day or two maybe, and he said, me and President Trump have had it's been a hell of a journey. So he's breaking away from the trail. It sounded like, and then of course he went back and he voted against saying the impeachment trial was unconstitutional, basically, and we should move on and forget about that. So that's his view. So he's kind of like on a roller coaster, former President Trump roller coaster ride there. And finally asking the Democrat leader of the Senate in a letter to hold a vote to dismiss the impeachment trial, saying if the trial of the former president were not dismissed, we will be delaying indefinitely, if not forever, the healing of the great nation. Right? So this is, again, I remind you, this is under the influence of sodium pentothal, which truth serum, which Lindsay got along with his vaccine, let's say hypothetically. Okay, so here he goes. Here goes Lindsay. Okay, if Trump loses this impeachment trial, I will have to go into exile as a traitor to this great nation and make my own journey to Madagascar. Have to get this trial stopped. After what went on in the airport, Lindsay is a little nervous now. He doesn't want to be having this happen all the time for the rest of his days. So he'd have to go into exile. He's saying the truth. And so we have to get this trial stopped. Okay, so, and here's Madagascar right here. There's Madagascar. And here's Lindsey Graham alluding to that. Okay. All right. Now we come to Senator Rand Paul. Here's Senator Rand Paul. Right there. Now what I did here was basically I took the Founding Fathers and brought them a time machine of a flat screen television to watch the future from their date with the Constitution when they sign off on the Constitution to take them up to 2021, kind of like a time machine flat screen, a time machine flat screen, and this is where the nation would be 2021. So here's the Founding Fathers, and here they are looking at what's going on here with Rand Paul here, what he's saying, and everything like that. And these are their reactions. Okay? Senator Rand Paul's speech that introduced his procedural vote that forced Republicans in the Senate to vote on his motion to declare the impeachment trial of former President Donald Trump as unconstitutional. I think 45 senators out of 50, I think, voted to declare it unconstitutional. So I just had some thoughts about that based upon what I've listened to and heard. And you see, the Constitution doesn't say either way whether talking about after a president doesn't address it specifically to say this or that on after a president leaves office, whether he could be impeached. But if you think about the checks, you have to infer from what the Founding Fathers had in mind when they set up the government and how with the checks and balances. You had your executive and your judicial. You had your executive, the judicial government, and then you had your I'm feeling like somebody now. The executive, judicial, and legislative. Okay, I got it. Legislative, which is the Congress, who legislates the laws, and the executive executes the laws, and the judicial interprets the laws. So you have a balance of power, which ends up at the Supreme Court. And these people are there for life for the simple reason that they can't be fired. So it puts them above being, it should idealistically give them immunity from political influence because they can't be fired no matter what they vote or anything like that. So they have it for life appointments. They set up checks and balances, whereas everything has to be voted, and the president can be overridden with I think 2/3 of the vote of the Senate, and the Congress, the way it was set up, and each state has 2 senators, and equal representation. And then you have the Congress, which is like more or less the people's house, sort of like they have everybody from different sections of the country there, a lot more. So it was really an ingenious idea. So if you think of that, how they set that up, and then you ask yourself, would they want to would they consider it in the confines of their constitution to have an impeachment trial after president leaves office? You'd have to think they would, because that goes in line with the checks and balances. Because a president could leave office and do anything he wants, and there'd be no repercussions. Nobody, it'd be, and that would put Congress in position of being lesser than the executive. It would remove the balance of power, because of the fact you wouldn't have a balance of power anymore, because the president could do anything he wants, and there'd be no accountability. So, with that in mind, how the whole thing was set up, you could argue basically that falling in line with the theory of the idea of checks and balances would be consistent with putting a president, impeaching a president, or having an impeachment trial. I'm not saying impeachment, I'm saying impeachment trial, because I'm not going to play judge here whether or not former President Trump should be convicted in the Senate. What I'm saying is that if you didn't have the trial, you'd be surrendering the checks and balances to the executive branch of government. It wouldn't be equal. It would not be equal anymore. And this would set a precedent, because you get somebody else years ago later who made President Donald Trump look like Andy Griffin or Gomer Pyle. I mean, the way we're going, anything is possible, right? So what I'm saying to you is that that's my view, that I think the framers of the Constitution would have wanted to have that. And that's why I did this cartoon, to make it seeing them and seeing this. And that's how the gist of it is here. So here it goes. Senator Rand Paul's speech that introduces procedural vote that forced Republicans in the Senate to vote on his motion to declare the impeachment trial of former President Donald J. Trump as unconstitutional. The thoughts of founding father John Adams. John Adams, like the father of the Constitution. He was the one who was most influential of all the founding fathers with that. He actually wrote a good part of it himself. If he could have foreseen the Trump administration and the events surrounding the Capitol riot back in 1787, when this was signed and ratified in 1787. So here they go. Okay, so here's the founding father saying to Mr. Adams, in a few minutes I will introduce the motion to burn this Constitution before the Republicans of Trump burn it. So he's seeing this, and then we have here, okay, and he goes, if this Constitution survives the Trump GOP, it will have proven itself fireproof. There it goes. So these are the founding fathers. With what I told you up front about the idea that I felt, even though it did not specifically say that, I think it's implicit in the way the government and the way these founding fathers set up our government in the Constitution. I think it's implicit that they would have expected that to be that possibility. So there it is. This is John Adams. I drew him. Everybody else is just a conglomerate of figures. The only one here that I really wanted to represent was John Adams and his view. Okay, and then Rand Paul. Before he introduced the vote, this was his Rand Paul speech here. This is Rand Paul's speech. In a few minutes, I will insist on a vote to affirm that this proceeding we are about to enter is unconstitutional. Now, Rand Paul, here he's saying that he's a constitutional scholar. He's purporting himself to be one when he makes that statement. That impeachment of a private citizen is therefore illegal. A sham this is, a dark blot on the history of our country. Shame on those who choose to pervert a constitutional process. There's nothing in the Constitution that outlines a president cannot be tried after he leaves office. There can't be an impeachment trial. There's nothing in there that says it can't, but it doesn't say it does. So at the best, it's debatable. But as I said, my view is I would take it from the framers and how they set up the government on the basis of balance of power. Okay? Between the executive, legislative, and judicial. There, I remembered it better that time. So there we go. Okay. They are the founding fathers. Signing the Constitution. There's Rand Paul going back to 1787, and they're looking ahead to 2021. And so I kind of made the point in this cartoon. That was the point I was trying to bring forward here. Okay. All right, now here we got Bill Barr. Okay. Moving up now to some winners on Twitter. Here we have Bill Barr standing in front of the Department of Justice as he's leaving. His thoughts. Okay. There's the Department of Justice in the background. Okay. Thoughts of former Attorney General William Barr leaving the U.S. Department of Justice building a week or so after submitting his resignation in a letter singing the praises of former President Trump and given reportedly the former President Wade replacing Barr, and given reportedly the former President Wade replacing Barr's replacement. So what President Trump, Barr got in before he could be fired, or Trump gave him the opportunity to resign for not finding evidence of voter fraud. So he had the opportunity for not being able to find what Trump was alleging. He had a choice of probably of resigning or being fired. I mean, I'm hypothecating about that, but that's logical. Or Barr just wanted to jump ship, just to jump ship and get the heck out, So anyway, and given reportedly the former President Wade replacing Barr's replacement, so when Barr's replacement came in, acting Attorney General Jeffrey Rosen, he was going to replace him because Jeffrey Rosen wanted no part of this at all. He was like an old timer there at the Justice Department, and he had a reputation of not of sticking with doing the right thing. Let's put it that way. With a loyalist, he's going to replace him with a loyalist to pursue unfounded voter fraud claims aimed at overturning the election of President Joe Biden. So that was the plan. It sounds like it, that the idea was to replace the acting Attorney General with another acting Attorney General who would basically do what President Trump wanted him to do in the direction of overturning the election of now President Joe Biden. So there you have it. So here's his thoughts when he's leaving there. He's thinking to himself, as I imagined here. Hope my amenable letter to President Trump will dissuade the president's anger towards me. The president was very angry with Barr for that, especially because my justice could not find any evidence supporting his voter fraud allegations. I know the president will like the part about his 2016 victory speech back in 2016, where I praised him for reaching out to his opponents to benefit the American people, and how I wrote. This is word for word what he wrote. Also, I wrote that was met by a partisan onslaught where no tactic, no matter how abusive and deceitful, was out of bounds to be used against him. In other words, he's portraying President Trump as the victim of all these things, of the impeachment trial, of everything. President Trump is being portrayed here, basically in this saga of his thing here, as a victim. Okay, sure, I'm glad President Trump gave me the chance to resign before firing me. I'm out of here. Okay, there he goes. I'm out of here. Okay, and there he goes. There we go. Let's do this. Okay. Little animation there. All right, now we're really getting up to the big hit, the big popular ones on Twitter. This is coming out to number. Going into this is up there. This is like number 2 here. This is Ted Cruz. Here we go with Ted Cruz. Boy, I think nobody could write a character like this in a novel or anything like that. If you look back at the movies from the past, or we with Cliff Robertson, and we saw those movies with. I remember seeing. Well, All the President's Men was basically about Nixon, but there were other movies about politics in Washington, and nobody could have ever written something like this, though. I gotta hand it. So here we go with Ted Cruz. Okay, Trump loyalist Ted Cruz thoughts, given the senator objected to the certification of the Electoral College votes after the deadly January 6th Capitol riots. He got up there, went back up there, and people died to defend that Capitol, but he wasn't about to defend democracy. He wasn't about to do that. That day, people died defending democracy, but the guard, the people at the Capitol Police, so forth. But Ted Cruz wanted no part of that. No part of defending democracy. Oh no, I'm sure Ted Cruz didn't want nobody killed or nothing like that, but he couldn't find it himself to say that, well, maybe I should reconsider this and see what's happening here. That's what I mean to say. Giving Cruz replying in writing to Representative Ocasio-Cortez that he agreed with her tweet. We now need to know more about Robinhood app's decision to block retail investors from purchasing stock as they see fit. So this Robinhood, basically was they were blocked, and they blocked the investors. So she was saying that the decision process, whether it was for the people or whether it was for themselves, why they did this. The questions need to be addressed as to the decisions they made. So Cruz jumped on that bandwagon for the people. Now he's for the people. See, now he's really for the people. So. And given this excerpt from Ocasio's response to Cruz, I don't feel good about reading this. I don't feel good about reading anything. About this stuff. But you take it with I try to separate it and give you a laugh and have you decide. So anyway, I am happy to work with Republicans on this issue where there's common ground. But you almost had me murdered 3 weeks ago, so you can sit this one out. So she just didn't want any part of having him as an ally, because him as an ally is like a rainy day ally, you can't. Comes in. So anyway, Cruz's thoughts based on the senator's reported response. Now this was his thought based upon her remark there, what she retorted. Here's Cruz. He's watching this on a flat screen with the reports of this. And he goes, "What's all this Democratic partisan anger and rage about? Those rioters did not bring a birthday cake for a Republican high-level official in the Trump administration." Well, I don't want to go into this. I don't want to hit this one too hard. So you could figure out who he meant when he was talking about that. So he's putting politics into it, saying that she's doing this. It's partisan. All this is partisan. You see, but what he did was when he didn't want to go along with basically continuing what the American people voted for and have the candidates who the American people voted for, that wasn't partisan. That was for America. Really, it was for America, the United States of America. But now he's calling her partisan because she rejected his offer of support on this issue with that. That company. So anyway, that was that here. Okay. Well, if they ever make a movie about Ted Cruz, I know who they're ever going to get to play Ted Cruz. uh, you know, boy. Anyway, here we go with, as always, President Trump comes in at number one here on the Twitter thing. President Trump is a former president, I should say, former President Trump, and as soon as if something comes up with President Biden, you can be sure that you'll be seeing a cartoon about it on my countdown. But you know, we're still basically in the opening of the game is just starting here. You know, where this is like, or the game is, you know. But whatever happens, I'm not going to try to make this like a one-sided thing where I'm, you know, bringing you information or cartoons about public. It's going to be anything that comes along, and I want to make sure of that. So anyway, so here we got here President Trump and McCarthy. Okay, now this is McCarthy. White House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy, Republican, California, after declaring last week that the president bears responsibility, quote, President bears responsibility for the January 6th attack on Congress by mob rioters, justifies completely reversing himself. So he went back and said the exact opposite. So here he is saying that, if he said that. Okay. I thought the president had some responsibility. Yes, he's justifying what he said, the difference between his going 180 degrees in the other direction. He's justifying that right here in what he's saying here. I thought the president had some, this is his actual words. I thought the president had some responsibility when it came to the response. If you listen to what the president said at the rally, demonstrate peacefully, quote. And then I got a question later about whether did he incite them. I got a question about whether former President Trump incited them. I also think everybody across the country has some responsibility. Everybody has some responsibility for this. You know, of course, the whole nation. You know, the whole nation wasn't there that day. You know, it was only the supporters of President Trump were there and who broke into this place. But the whole nation bears responsibility, according to House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy. Anyway, so here's President Trump word for word on that January 6th day. There it is. I know that I don't imitate President Trump, by the way. I see a lot of these people do that. Now, I just as it is, just like it is, like, you know. So anyway, I know that everyone here. I'm not here to make fun of anybody. I'm here to give you a laugh and to give you the facts in a joke, and that's what it comes down to, folks. Anyway, so here's President Trump. I know that everyone here will soon be marching over to the Capitol building to peacefully and patriotically make your voices heard. So far, so good. Now, if you don't fight like hell, you're not going to have a country anymore. Well, there you go now. Taking a nosedive. Yeah, we're going to walk down to the Capitol, and we're going to cheer on our brave senators and congressmen and women, and we're probably not going to be cheering so much for some of them. You'll never take back our country with weakness. You have to show strength. So true enough, President Trump never said, I want you people to go out there and take over the Capitol. I mean, he didn't say that. But it's a lot of the stuff that people were saying once they were inside and echoing the words of President Trump and a lot of things that he did say. So I'm leaving that up to the powers that be to make that call. But I'll say it again, I think we need to have this trial, this impeachment trial, so that at least the founding fathers won't be turning over in their graves. That we kind of just let their genius in separation of powers go to hell. So that's again, coming back to that thought. All right, folks, I want to thank you very much for watching my cartoon video and my top political cartoons of the week for February 2nd, 2021. And if you'd like to see more of my work, again, you go to Richard's Books of politicalcartoons.com, no spaces and no apostrophe S, just Richards, plural Richards. And thank you again. You take care of yourself, stay well, and don't let all these mutation bugs get you down, because we're gonna beat this thing, and whatever they come up with, we'll come up with an anti-bug to get it, and we'll just keep doing it until the goddamn thing just takes off and is no longer, well, it'll be around for a while, but we're gonna have to just follow common sense things, and pretty soon it'll be a whole lot better than it is now. I don't think it'll get back, as I said, won't get back to normal, but normal, we have a new normal now, and we just have to confront that and do the best we can and be grateful that we're still around. And so, folks, I wish you all the best. You take care, and God bless America.